unfortunately, it's the same period that I was married, and it seems like a very negative commentary on my relationship. In some ways it may be, but to me, I take all the blame. I take the blame as being a person that wasn't capable of being stuck in a situation where suddenly I have to stop being Peter Pan. I have to stop I have to grow up and be responsible and suddenly be things that I've never been, you know. If someone told me, okay, you're in a bad way and you need to get back to the person that I know, that's how I felt. But when someone wants you to be somebody that you never were, like when someone says, well, I thought that, you know, all these things about you would change. It's very, when you don't realize, and now I can stand back and look at it like a different person and realize, wow, ultimately I felt guilty for being myself.
Well, it's funny because you said, you mentioned growing up, and the thing I find interesting about your interest in Lewis Carroll and his stories, and sort of, by the way, your book sort of reminds me of the beginning of like your grandfather's basement being a sort of rabbit hole, and
I didn't think of that, but yeah.
And this sort of idea that the best artists are allegedly the ones who can stay childlike the longest, and then we tell children fairy tales that scare them so they don't try anything adventurous. Yeah, and you have this sort of fascination with Alice and Willy Wonka and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So if you were losing sight of that, you were losing sight of what makes you interesting.
Yeah. Well, when I read, I based my script that I wrote off of Charles Dodson's diaries. And, you know, the first thing that's very apparent is that similar but unlike me, he had two very distinct personalities, very much like Jekyll and Hyde, Robert Louis Stevenson style. He would write letters to people on the very same day. It was very normal, and it didn't seem contrived in any way. Signed as Charles Dodson, signed as Lewis Carroll. And Lewis Carroll was, for a long time, kept a secret persona for him.